we've been speaking throughout the day to some of the 300 plus signatories of an open letter to the Prime Minister calling for an increase to the JobSeeker rate. Chief Executive of the Grattan Institute is Danielle Wood. She joins us live now. Danielle, why do you think this makes good economic and policy sense?
Thanks for having me, Kieran. Look, I was very convinced by some of the modelling and information put forward by the government's Economic Advisory Inclusion Committee. What they highlighted is these payments have fallen behind any measure of basic living standards over the past 20 years. It is increasingly, impossible for people to live at even a basic standard on these payments. So the economic rationale is, frankly, they are so low that they are a barrier to job search. If you, can't afford transport, if you can't afford new shoes, it's very difficult to show up and find a job. But I think there's also a broader kind of moral consideration as well. Do we think it is acceptable that those that are most vulnerable in our community are living at a standard so far below the poverty line?
There absolutely is that fairness question, no doubt, with $49 a day. Let me ask you the economic question, though, because it goes to those flow-on effects. If you boost the number for those least well off, all those dollars will be spent, which is the point. But is it then inflationary?
Yes. So any increase in spending, and as you say, this one particularly will hit the economy, will create some inflationary pressure. So governments have to do any spending in a way that is targeted. I would argue this is targeted, obviously, to those that most need it. You can look at ways of offsetting that through increasing taxes or cutting spending elsewhere. And, I think that's the way in which government should do this.
And there will be a boost to the coffers with the increased commodity prices, also already a saving with the government not continuing, as the former government had said, with the low and middle income tax offset. So there will be dollars to spend. It's whether or not they're willing to take those other counterbalance measures to try and avoid the inflationary impact.
Yeah, that's right. So certainly the short-term budget position is going to be better than what was forecast even back in October. We know commodity prices have outperformed the assumptions significantly. The labour market has been stronger than the government was expecting. All of that is going to lead to a much stronger revenue position. The sort of fiscally conservative thing to do would be to bank those gains. That is consistent, I think, with the macroeconomic environment where we don't want to add to inflationary pressure. So if we want to do things like this, and as I've said, I strongly believe that we should then look for other ways to return some dollars to the budget to support this.
What's your read on that inflation number today? Do you think the RBA will move again on the 2nd of May?
Look, it kind of came in at the point where I think it's going to make it a hard decision for the RBA. I was expecting it to be a little lower. They are clearly waiting to see how the impact of those past movements play out. So I think it's pretty line ball now whether they'll move at the next meeting.
The government's move to extend that cap on gas prices out to 2025. This is a draft of this code of conduct. The industry is not liking it. Do you think it's necessary?
Look, I haven't followed that news today. We certainly supported the original move to cap prices. It's obviously it was a very big thing to do, but the circumstances were highly unusual. I would have to have a look in more details to see what they've done before I can comment before whether that is the right move or not.
Yep. Fair enough, Danielle Wood. That's why we always appreciate your insights, because they are, you do take your time to look at the detail. Thank you for your time today. Chief Executive of the Grattan Institute, Danielle Wood, joining us there.